Roland Willits, all Men Stories. And I'm here with Pat Boilesen.
Yes.
And she's from Albion, Nebraska. And I think I've been in Albion, or at least Grand Junction. Because in my travels with my RV, I have seen a lot of towns that I brought it in for repair. And they have a Cummins dealer there. Right when you go into town, and they fixed my RV.
Okay. Now, are we talking about Albion?
No, Grand Junction.
All right. I was going to say, I think you have the wrong.
Albion's little.
Albion is little.
Albion's little.
You do know what you're talking about, Roland.
But it's not as little as Earhart. So Bruce Nelson was telling me yesterday he has 150 people.
That's the size of the little town I was at the time I grew up.
Were you? What was that town?
It was even less people than that. It was a little town called Coatesville.
Coates is still around?
It's still there, yes.
It's still there? Do you have any relatives there?
Yes, I do. I have cousins and second cousins that still live in that area. And it's a wonderful place to grow up.
Is it like coats, like coats you wear?
It's spelled Cotesfiel.
Okay.
And just a wonderful, several little towns along what we call the Loop Valley.
Yeah.
And none of the towns located along there are actually what you would call a city. They're all towns.
And in those towns, they do a lot of quilting.
Yes,
especially in the wintertime.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
We're going to head to Paducah in a little while there, and that's quilt capital.
Oh, there's
they've got Nebraskans are great for quilting.
And it is amazing the quilt patterns that they were actually, I'm sure, the quilt patterns were developed out of necessity because heating was not what we have today, and mothers and grandmothers and aunts would get together and they would make the quilts that we needed to stay warm throughout the winter. Yeah. And I'm sure it was from that designs for quilts became. It was boring to make the same old patchwork quilt.
Your song come from that idea?
Yeah,
watching them as a team?
The song actually is dedicated to my mother-in-law. My husband's mother was a beautiful quilter. I believe she quilted, if I'm remembering right, it's either 272 or 274 quilts.
Whoa!
And this is just the ones that she kept track of that were made for other people. And everything was by hand. Everything was with a needle and thread. And she did beautiful, beautiful work. And unfortunately, I didn't write this song until after she was gone, but it was just something that needed to be written. And it compares a quilt that you cover up with at night with the quilt of life that God lays out for you.
That is really beautiful. And I always like to bring this up. It's like quilts, all these things that you remember people. There's an old saying that someone remembered is someone still.
Yes.
So quilt brings them and makes them still here.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to listen to this awesome song. And do you bring her in the character?
Yes. In the very opening of the song, it talks about a closet, upstairs closet that was filled with old clothes, and how I asked Mom, why do you keep that box full of old clothes? And she answers, that's something you're going to have to wait to find out when you're grown up. And in the song on graduation day, she presents me a quilt and then goes ahead to compare it with the quilt of life that we live.
That is so beautiful.
And like I said, I think what really inspired the song was an actual quilt that I have, that the pieces were cut out by my mother and sewn together by my mother, but she couldn't do the quilting on it, and so she had my husband's mother, my mother-in-law, do the quilting on it. So it's a very special quilt. The pieces, and like I said, the basic pieces that were put together came from my mother, and but yet my mother-in-law did the quilting, so it was very special.
Oh, that is.
And I think one day when I was making the bed, the idea came to me because, like I said, there's so many memories wrapped up in that quilt. And so I sat down, Quilt of Life.
That is so beautiful, and it's a super story.
Thank you.
Story, you're a story goddess.
Well, thank you.
I love it, and she's gonna have you and I are gonna have fun in old men stories too.
Okay.
Ah, wow.
All right.
And yes, and I will show you some quilting that I've done.
Wonderful.
No, I didn't. But I thought about doing it a lot.
I fall for anything. Once.
Okay. Well, here we go. Introduce yourself.
This song is Quilt of Life, and I'm sending it out to anyone who has ever slept under a quilt or made a quilt or enjoyed a quilt that was handmade.
Let's listen.
Yay!